You get slapped, Bill.
I saw Daryl do it. I was wondering how you do it. I seen him do it. Yeah, more than me.
You all situated there, Bill?
Oh, I'm good.
All right, let's roll. Welcome, everybody, to Lionz Den, episode 8. Again, my name's Eddy.
And this is Daryl again.
I'm Brad.
And this is Bill.
Guest spotting again.
Guest spotting again.
Bill's holding it down. You got a lot of free time, Bill.
Yeah.
So we're loving having Bill sit in. He'll actually be in the next couple of ones. Super excited to have him. I've been coming in on some interesting topics and had some real positive feedback with Bill coming in. A little different perspective and some real positive stuff. Please like, comment. Super important for us. So if everybody's not familiar with how YouTube is, that platform's ran, it's all off of likes, followers, stuff like that. So I know there's a lot of people tuning in, but please follow, like, it's really important to us. Also, we also have the podcast. So if you have the time to watch the YouTube, you're certainly welcome to that. When we first kind of opened up the Lionz Den podcast and YouTube, we talked about we'd be doing some different stuff, some shorts. So the round the table is going to always be our main platform, but the shorts will be starting out soon. Mm-hmm. And the whole point of the shorts was, the whole point of Lionz Den was to just be a place to get some information, have some honest conversations, to kind of like a big brother community. So what the shorts will be is just talking about different things, be it intermittent fasting, meal prepping, different different reviews on some different items. And it's all just basically about making life a little better, a little easier, a little happier, making ourselves feel a little better. I wore my fancy pink Italian shirt today to show off my fashion sense.
It's snazzy.
Thank you.
It is. I like it.
Very
Thank
nice.
you very much. But that will be some of the stuff we're talking about. Over the years, when I kind of look up different topics on YouTube and see some of the people that are out there putting information out, it's terrifying.
Yes.
How to pick up girls, the right stuff to wear, the right this, the right that. Oh yeah.
So I will just, I'm going to point that out though, that if you go to a video to figure out how to pick up women, you're already failing. So it's
Or been a failure.
Yeah. The recovery is not looking good. So just.
Yeah, and there was a lot about, men's fashion, stuff like that, some scary stuff out there. So hopefully we'll put some positive stuff out there, some things that guys could look up, women too. And we'll be getting that out hopefully this week. So keep an eye out for that. Today we're going to be talking about being better. And when we're talking about being better as human beings, being better as individuals, being better as society, a lot of real bad shit has been going on. I mean, it's been going on for a long time, but especially recently, we had the killings in Buffalo. We all live in Chicago. Was a pretty big shooting. Actually, there's been a couple big shootings the last couple of days or last couple weekends. Politics is absolutely insane, crazy, which we will definitely not be getting into anytime soon for an abundance of reasons. Just nothing positive is going to come out of it. But Lionz Den was really about going back to Daniel and being in a Lionz Den. And the whole point of what we're here for is having conviction in what you're doing. Being honest, being convicted, knowing what the right thing to do is and having conviction in doing it. And we wanted to be a place, a community. We want to be a revolution. I mean, that was really the point of this, was it to expand, get big, and start some shit. And we've been soft about it to this point. I mean, we've had some super positive conversations. The being better is near and dear to my heart because it's breaking my heart to see what we're becoming as a society. So what do you kind of think about that, Daryl?
I agree. I think that for me, every day I'm trying to be better in scenarios and just in not even in scenarios, but in scenarios and as well as just in my day-to-day normal things that I do. So I think if everybody can kind of figure that out to do whatever makes you better, I think that'll be a good start for us to make the whole world better, because it has to start with the individuals. But it's not an easy task because you have to want to be better, and you have to understand that even if you're good, you can still be better at whatever it is you're doing. And as a parent, as a friend, a spouse, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is, you can do better than what you're doing. Even if you're doing outstanding, you can strive to do more. And if you do that, it's always going to push you to work towards being more than what you already are.
Definitely. Brad?
I agree with a lot of that. I think being better comes with, we kind of touched on it last episode, accountability with stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think they kind of go hand in hand. I know as somebody that was in kind of a dark place for quite a while, when you start to evolve out of that, there's growth there. And being better, is just kind of this mental thing. And like for me in the back of my head, it's just kind of this voice of like, whether it's in my personal life, whether it's in my work life, you kind of go that extra mile. And after being low and down, it's almost uplifting to, is you're doing a task, and it might be a simple task at work. It might just be a relationship, kind of situation. I tend to just mentally remind myself to kind of go that little extra step, find that extra gear, just be better at whatever the task is.
So I'm super happy that Bill is actually in on this conversation. Of course, we miss Alex. But I mean, one of the things that, I find amazing about Bill at where he's at, everything that he's been through, and, the relatively short period of time I've known him, he's always looking to be better. I mean, he truly, really is. I mean, we've had a lot of conversations, many of them are hilarious, where might not necessarily agree with at that point in time, but always comes in a day later and, hey, I thought about that. And I never really thought about that before. And part of being better is having humility. Part of being better is kind of, and Daryl just touched on it, knowing that, we could always be a little better, even if no matter where you're at in that spectrum, we could always be a little better. But it takes a lot of humility to be able to say, hey, how old are you, Bill? If you don't mind saying.
He's 64 next month.
64 years old, been around the blocks, been through it, has done a lot of things in his life, good and bad, has accomplished a lot. And to be at 64 years old and still be willing to learn, still be willing to have those conversations, to push that comfort level of what he's known, I find astounding. And one of the things I admire the most about him. But to being better, I mean, what could you kind of say with that, Bill?
Well, I appreciate how you feel about me. I'm just a regular guy. I don't put myself on any pedestal. I guess what works for me is just be humble about it. But the topic, why be better, and I keep thinking about why be better? Why do I need to be better? And I think everybody at one time in their life would wonder. For me anyway, when I was doing something wrong, I really didn't want to do what I was doing. That's for a fact. But I was doing it, and I couldn't figure out why I was doing it. But I wanted to be better. I wanted to feel better. I wanted to get better. And we're talking about Chicago, and we're talking about the guy that went into that grocery store and shot all those people and all of that stuff, and the stuff that's going on. And sometimes people can get locked into a place where, man, I don't want to be any better. I just want to live my life like this. But I think, you'll get that thought, I want to change it. And being 4 men sitting at this table, probably all of us grew up with, you know, macho fathers, or you have to do everything on your own. You know, you can't trust anybody. I mean, that's how I grew up. You can't trust anybody. You got to do it on your own.
Especially Southside Chicago,
yeah.
Detroit.
Yeah. But somewhere along the line, I needed to talk to somebody because I couldn't get out of the situation. As whether it was me for addiction, or it's somebody that's in a gang-infested neighborhood that's gang banging and doesn't want to be a gang banger, but is afraid of the repercussions of the guys in the neighborhood. They need to talk to somebody. You know, talk to somebody and have somebody help you figure it out. You know, and I think that's the hardest part for people to get better, is just, you know, kind of giving in, man. You know, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. I don't like where I'm at. I don't like the environment. And ask for some help. I mean, you know, that's a tough one to get to, man. You know, why be better? I mean, sometimes you grow up and you go, man, I don't want to be better. I'm sick. People are causing all this shit. I got nothing to do with it. I'm in a bad situation. I'm never going to get out of this. And you see what happens. People live to 17, 18, 19 years old, and they're ending up dead, you know, in a gang war, or some idiot goes into a grocery store and shoots all these people because he has hatred in his heart for other people. And you know, I'm embarrassed about that idiot that did that too. You know, I thought it was kind of dumb, but yeah, it's a great topic, man. I mean, how do you get there? You know, how many people feel stuck that want to be better and can't get better? You know, how many? And
I think that actually you're hitting 2 huge points of this and why we wanted to talk about this. One, the whole reason of doing this was to be that source, to be that place that you can look at, get some, you know, hopefully we're showing some leadership qualities. We're holding ourselves accountable. We're being honest about stuff. We've talked about a lot of dark stuff and some stuff that, you know, isn't so great, and been honest about it. And that's really what this whole thing was about, was meant to be, and also meant to be a movement. But even more so, as Bill said, why be better? You know, we see all these things going on, and it's something, you know, throughout my life, I talked to so many people. I mean, part of our jobs is that I've always had an interest. I've never met somebody that I walked away from and said, wow, that person's just complete shit. They have no redeemable qualities to them whatsoever. And I can say I've never really met that person. So why don't we strive to be better? And I think Bill mentioned an important part of that, and kind of the behind the scenes dynamic of that, of why this idiot did this stuff in Buffalo is part of that. And we're fed so much garbage every day. We're constantly being pitted against each other. We're constantly being turned against each other, be it politics, race, money, class, you know, ethnicity, whatever nonsense it may be. We're constantly being pitted against each other. And the shame of it is we're being played by everybody, because the bar keeps getting raised lower and lower and lower. So our expectations keep getting lower and lower and lower. And kind of to Bill's point of, well, you know, if everybody's doing this, why should I do this? And also to the point that he made, when you come from, you know, a certain background, nobody wants to be that punk. Nobody wants, and especially us 4 at this table, and Alex too, for that matter. Nobody wants to be that one that's getting punked, being taken advantage of, being railroaded, being screwed over. And a lot of people feel like that. So when you really talk to people that, you know, why do you feel this way, or what's going on with that? It usually has some stem from that. Where this happened to me, so I reacted this way, and, well, why should I do this if they're doing that? And it's really, you know, when we talk about faith, and to be clear, our first episode, we started with how many viewers?
It was in the 300s right away.
300. Second, yeah. I think, was like in the hundreds, and then we've been 70, 80s. We all know why that is. You know, we're talking about God, we're talking about faith, we're talking about spirituality, we're talking about real shit. And people are like,
it's uncomfortable.
We're talking
super
about
uncomfortable.
Yeah, we're talking about being better. And I think that I don't think that. I know that being better requires you to do more than what you're already doing. So if you're doing something and you want to get more out of it, or you want to be better at it, whatever it is, you have to either change what you're doing or change the amount of effort you're putting into what you're doing. So that requires more energy. So nobody wants to put more energy into things, you know. Definitely. So being better at anything is harder than what you were already doing. And like the average person doesn't want to do things harder. It's just it's not a natural thing to do.
No,
like
I definitely think that's a big part. And like I said, nobody wants to be the one that, you know, well, I'm putting the effort forth, be it a relationship, a friendship, a job situation. Nobody wants to be the person that's putting all that effort forth and it not being reciprocated against. You know, the question I pose to everybody, and especially at this table, is when did that become the barometer? So when did Joe Schmo become, well, you know, he's only here, so I only got to be there because why should I be better? Because they're not going to be better. I don't understand really when we started doing that, when instead of the answer being, I'm going to be my best self. I don't give a shit what this guy's doing, what that person's doing. I don't care if, you know, I'll give you a perfect example. And I know we've talked about this in the past when I was downtown Chicago all the time. I mean, I would have homeless people approach me all the time. And if I had some in my pocket, I gave it to them. I would have friends that would get so upset. You know what they're doing with that? You know, they're getting drunk, they're doing this, they're buying drugs and all that. And at the end of the day, and this goes for everybody out there, I don't care who you're with. I don't care if you're married, single, with somebody. When you put your head on the pillow at night, it's you and your own thoughts. And for me, I didn't want to live with that. I don't want to have that feeling of I could help somebody out and I didn't. If they choose to do whatever with that, that's not on me. That's their choice. But I don't know when, as a society, as people, we started meeting the lowest denominator of who we are and what we can become. And I truly feel like a big part of that is faith. A big part of it is spirituality. As we've moved further and further away from our beliefs, our faith systems. I mean, the reality is this country was founded on Christian principles. I mean, it's just a fact. And there's a lot of super messed up stuff that was done from that. We've talked about it a lot, stuff with Native Americans, stuff with African Americans. I mean, there's just a lot of horrible things that were done in that name of Christianity, but that simple principle of treating others the way you want to be treated, seeing each other as neighbors, all that stuff just seems like it's gone completely out the window.
Well, I think that it's always been like that, where the bar was low once other people start accepting at that level that the bar was at. So if something is not the standard, but everybody's meeting, everybody's below the standard, the standard is all of a sudden lowered. Yep. And from instructor's perspective, that's exactly how most schools and administrators look at things. So they set a blind standard and they say, this is where we need whatever case the students to be by this time. And then if you have like an overwhelming amount of students that don't meet that standard, then they have to look at, is the standard that we set too high? Or because everybody's about right here.
Sure.
Or is it a flaw in the method of what we're doing? It could be, is it a flaw in our humanity? Is it a flaw in our faith? They don't, and society typically doesn't do that, that dissecting where it's at. This is where everybody's at, so it must be right, because the masses start to control what is normal. That's where normal comes from, what everybody else is doing. So when you get that, if everybody feels a certain way about something, typically they don't. You know when something's wrong, but it's easier to accept when something's wrong. If everybody else is doing it. They're doing it. They're okay with it. They don't really feel right, but shit, everybody's doing it, whatever.
Really important point.
That's, I think, historically how we have those standards and those things that we know were like really messed up, and they still somehow happen for a long time because everybody turned a blind eye to it.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of the bar setting probably has to do with what's seen on, social media, and I know a lot of people will use those platforms as a benchmark of, well, that guy is here, or that guy is there, or, he has all this, or what, whatever it is.
Right.
What I think, and I know we've talked about it before, when you're looking at somebody that maybe appears to be successful via social media, and you see this very quick blip of them from nothing to something, you never see the middle. We've talked about that middle. That middle is where you put in that work and put in that extra gear, and you do that. The middle is where you be better to achieve that end result. I think we live in such a quick, fast-paced world of technology of you're seeing, 15-second videos of people, and you're just seeing their successes without any effort put into it. I think it's almost made us lazier, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, kind of what Daryl was saying earlier.
Yeah, nobody broadcasts their struggles. They broadcast their successes.
Right.
It's very few. I won't say nobody, but
correct. And I think that's where the bar is getting lower and lower as a society. Is just, you're just looking at quick successes, and through that, I think people think they don't need to put in that work. They don't, good enough is good enough. So,
I mean, for you, so when Bill and I first kind of started meeting each other, obviously anybody knows me, I'm very set in my ways. Bill was very set in his ways. And we had that tug of war for some time. And like I said, and obviously, I'm a little younger than Bill. So there's always wisdom that comes with age, and always like, hey, who are you to be telling me this or that? And again, what I find, and I know you said earlier, hey, I'm nobody special and this and that. You are special. I mean, what makes you special is being able to acknowledge that I'm human. This is where I'm at. I want to get a little better. I want to be a little better. I'm willing to hear that stuff out. That takes a lot. There's a lot of people, especially at that age. I mean, especially at that age where I am how I am. I'm not going to change. I'm not going to do this for anybody. This is what I've learned. Leave me the hell alone. And
he's always for me all this
it
time.
always worked for me.
Right.
For I got this far on that. I mean, for you, Bill, what kind of motivates you to make those evolutions, to make that growth?
It's a tough one, because it's when you're in a growth spurt, what I call it. They're like aha moments. They're like something comes up and you go, I thought about this, or I like this job. What can I do to survive here? What do I really need to do? What am I really? And it's not any. It's just wanting it, I guess. It has nothing to do with me reading certain books and accepting certain things. It's just like the thoughts come from within. It's just like I used to call it an onion. The layers of the onion get peeled, and you just start to get these moments. I think the thing that really stuck out for me once is, what am I here for? That's powerful for me. Like, man, I've been here a long time. What is this? What is this all about? What's this life about? Am I supposed to be miserable, or is there more to this than what am I missing? And that's when it all started opening up for me. It's like, why am I here? What am I supposed to do? How do I get better? To me, it's always been, I want to be more comfortable with myself. I want to be more comfortable in certain situations. I want to be calm and relax in certain situations where there's pressure. I want to be able to just relax. And when I'm in a lot of pressure, how do I calm myself down and, be able to function when I'm feeling kind of stressed and stuff like that. That's just stuff that just happens when you get to a point where I'm tired of living the way I'm living. I don't like what I'm doing. I need to do better. What do I need to do? And then, it's always been somebody out there or somewhere to go to talk to somebody that's put that into my head. Now, as human beings, you think about, we're in 2022 and we've been on the planet 4,000 years or so, right? How much have we really grown as people? I mean, it's
kind of scary.
It's scary. Really, where are we? I mean, there's little kids getting, killed and bombed in Ukraine. I mean, people getting shot every single day. And what's going on? What is it with the human condition that this stuff is all about? Well, the only thing I can think of is I can only clean up my side of the street. I had a conversation with you today. I go, if I had $2 billion and I wanted to go into the city of Chicago and I wanted to straighten up the violence that's in the south side of Chicago, and I got all this money, what could I do? Because it depresses me. It really gets to me sometimes. It's like, man, the poor little kid watching TV, playing a video game, stray bullet goes through the house and hits him. What could I actually do? And I don't know if it's maybe this, maybe bumping into somebody, maybe, I'm at the gym and I saw Daryl the other day. Some young kid wasn't really working with the weights right, and I saw Daryl walk over to him and show him how to do the weights right. I bet when that kid sees him again, that he's going to remember that he did that. I think it's just the little things that happen in life that you do that can maybe make a big change. It isn't a whole big thing to be done, but little things, little pieces. And maybe all of this stuff that we're living through, man, is just maybe is a test. I don't know.
By the way, that kid asked me to help him, and I was bothered by that. But I helped him out.
Yeah, but
so that does not work in our Be Better.
No. I decided to be better and help him.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
But
he didn't have a muscle on him either.
He's going to get some.
He's going to get some, though. Yeah,
he's going to be better too.
He's going to be better.
And kind of to Bill's point, I mean, I think that's exact. I mean, that's really the whole thing that this is about, is being a little better, doing those little things, helping that little kid out. I think that's not going on enough. And so we become more, and I think we've talked about it in one of the past episodes. We're at a point in time where something like this podcast, we've seen it. Can be heard in Japan, Brazil, Uganda, all over the world. We could really communicate that. But with all that accessibility and all that means of getting information out there, it seems like it's just garbage. It's constantly pitting us against each other. And it's not even just pitting us against each other. And again, I make it a point to not talk about knuckleheads because I just feel like it gives them that much more power and the shit just keeps happening. But that moron with the grocery store was doing what he was doing because he was convinced that, he's being pushed out, that, is no longer going to be relevant because of whatever nonsense. That garbage came from somewhere. Mm-hmm. And it seems like there's constantly stuff like that out there. You're being taken advantage of, don't do this, because if you do, be it phone scams, internet scams, talking about social media. There's a place in a mall I was at where they have fake airplane pictures and fake beach pictures. And all right, well, is the person that's taking those pictures saying, hey, I'm at a fake beach? No. A lot of people are out there flexing and look at me on my way to Dubai or wherever the hell at. And it feels like people are constantly trying to hustle each other.
Yeah, they are.
And I think when you feel that, you get in that kind of defensive stance of, well, I'm not being fooled by anybody. I know you're up to some stuff. And to Bill's point, and the point of being better is, the decision I made for myself a long time ago, I don't answer anybody but God. Mm-hmm. As I said in a couple episodes, God created me, God created you, God created everybody listening and watching. I'm no better than you, I'm no worse. And that's where it starts, and that's where it ends for me. I'm not here to be better than anybody else. All I know is at the end of the day, I answer to God. So what's the best version of me? When I go to bed at night, was I, Eddy, the best version I could possibly be today? And if I wasn't, I'm accountable to that. If I was, I'm accountable to that. It's never in comparison to this person, that person, or any other person. It's am I my best version of myself? And there's certainly role models of that. There's people I look up to. There's people I look for inspiration. I mean, the very thing of this whole Lionz Den is supposed to be that. Some people you can look to and be inspired by, or hopefully moved by, get some information by. Mm-hmm. But I answer to God. So if I'm going to be kind to somebody and they're going to take advantage of me, it is what it is. At the end of the day, they gotta live with that. Mm-hmm. You know, as long as it's not crossing the line of, you know, if it's physical, then it's going to get physical. And even that I want to be better about. I know at the end of the day, that's not solving anything. You know, we talked about that in the last episode. You know, all violence is a means of control. Nobody's learning anything from it. Nobody's evolving anything from it. Nobody's growing anything from it. So even that I want to be better with. But I'm also honest with myself to know that it's not where I'm at right now. I want to work on it. I want to get better, but it's just not where I'm at right now.
I think a lot of us are guilty of, especially we're on phones and TV or whatever, and you're kind of almost brainwashed into just small picture. You're focusing on this small screen constantly, and we lose sight of the big picture. You know, you put that phone down, you look up, and maybe you would have seen the kid in the gym, or you know, maybe there are more people that need help that we don't see because we're just on our, you know, we're in our own little small-minded world. And if more people decide to be better and kind of look up and see the big picture, you know, maybe more people could help each other. And that's really the point of what we're trying to do here is, you know, have an outlet for people to ask questions. Maybe we can answer some of them. You know, we can hopefully get this to a point where we can help people, and then it starts that's we talked about it last episode about the snowball. You know, if we can kind of start that snowball rolling in the right direction, you know, all it takes is, you know, a couple people to realize, you know, it doesn't take much effort to be better. We talked about the effort that's required. It's really not much effort. You know, when I'm trying to be a little better myself, you know, it's not that big of a deal.
It's definitely not much at all.
Right.
But yeah.
Right. So if more people can realize that and start doing it, or maybe see an example, you know, where it becomes mainstream as opposed to just ignoring everything, you know, maybe we'll get somewhere.
No, I definitely agree with that. I know you want to say something, Daryl.
Oh no, I was just thinking like when I really started focusing on being the not just better but the best version of me that I can be. The first thing that I really did, and I was always like this, but I'm very much more now. I'm extremely non-judgmental. So things that happen or things that other people are dealing with or how they want to view themselves or carry themselves, I have no regard for it at all. It doesn't bother me one way or the other. I'm very unopinionated, especially in today's day with like how people are and what they want to be, what they want to be called.
Right.
And a lot of times it can become a mystery. Like you have to figure out how this person wants to be addressed because nobody walks around and has a little sheet hanging off of them saying how to address them and stuff like that. But that still doesn't bother me. I do like that, like with being better and accepting people, you know, as they are. I think it was Dave Chappelle who said, I'm okay with you being whatever you want to be. I just need to know how far my inclusion into your personal identity needs to go. You know, so how do I know how to address you if I don't know how to address you?
Definitely.
You know, so with that, I still focus on being better, being the best me I can. I really don't have any judgment for anybody. With the kid in the gym, I don't like to be disturbed when I'm in the gym. So initially, I'm like, why is this little weirdo looking at me? But he wanted
no judgment though.
No judgment. No judgment. I call people weirdos all the time, but it's not a judgment issue. It's because they're weird, and I don't care that they're weird. That's the no
look
judgment.
Look at everyone can please pause and look at Bill's face right now.
That's the no judgment part. For me to say that you're a weirdo, but I don't care. I'm not like, you're a weirdo, stop it.
Right. And he's looking at you going, boy, I'd like to be like him.
Yeah. I was probably that kid at some point in somebody's eyes where I looked up to them and it was like, why is this little weirdo looking at me? You know? So I don't find it as a bad, like, it's not a bad thing. But when he asked me for help, I liked it. And I didn't like it, but I was like, I acknowledged he saw that I could probably help him do something. So I did help him out. And then I went about my day. I don't think he owes me anything. He doesn't need to come back and show me like, hey, look, I've figured out how to curl with form now. I don't care.
Right.
I say that to go into like any kind of charity that I've ever done. I don't need anything to quantify the charity that I did or to show me that it was worth it. my effort, money, or time that I gave to it. So if I, like you said, gave somebody some money or did anything, I don't need to know that they used that money on something positive. Because if I have it to give and I gave it, it's gone.
Definitely.
You know, I can hope that they used it for something positive. But once you give something away, it's not in your control to be used for what you want to use it for. If that's the case, keep it. And hope that people use whatever you give them, whether it's your time, effort, money, anything, for the best thing that they can use it for. But if you can help somebody, help somebody. That's a big part of being better. So do it, and do it without attachments and stipulations is what that is. I'll help you, but you have to make sure you go down to McDonald's and buy you 3 cheeseburgers.
Right.
You know, that's not really helping them.
And I think that, and I definitely want Bill to chime in on this pretty quick here, but, you know, I think you hit a key point of a lot of times that's how it is. You know, well, I'll love you as long as you love me back. I'm going to give you a massage as long as you're giving me a massage back. You know, I'll do this for you as long as you're doing. And Daryl's right. I mean, if you're doing something, you should be doing something because that's the truth for you. That's what feels right for you. That's what, you know, makes you feel right inside, feel whole. It shouldn't be because it's being reciprocated or not. And kind of to the point of what we talked about earlier, I really think that's where we're at as a society, where everybody's afraid to make that little extra step because, all right, well, am I going to get that politics? Okay, if we give a little bit here, we're going to get that little bit back there. And everybody's at a constant stalemate of, well, I'm not doing it if you don't. And I'm not sure, are we happier for that? Are we, and forget about societal problems. I mean, we're not going to solve that at this table, but as a human being, are you happier? So I'm super protected. I'm not helping anybody. I don't want to love anybody because if I do, I'm going to get hurt. I don't want to open myself up to anybody because if I do, I'm vulnerable. I don't want to reach out because if I do, they might screw me over. Are you a happier person at that? And the answer to that unequivocally is you are not. I have never met that person in my life. You're miserable. Your life is miserable. You're not evolving. You're not alone. Growing. And amen, you're freaking alone.
Yeah.
So where is that really getting you? And I can never really, I feel passionate about it because I can never really understand how the hell you, I think because doing sales my whole life, how did you sell yourself on that bullshit? I remember when I used to run a nightclub, I'd get girls all the time. Oh, you're going home with me tonight. I don't even know you. Well, what's going on? My boyfriend, I just caught my boyfriend cheating on me. I'm getting him back. So you're going to get back at him by screwing me, and I might be a scumbag for all you know. And you're going to get by degrading yourself by being with me. That's going to really show him. And it was like the strangest thing to me. Like, what do you really, and you hear stuff like that all the time.
Why didn't it ever happen to me? I don't know if I would have reacted the way you did. Damn, I missed out.
But what are you really, and like I said, you hear that, oh, well, I only did that because they did that to me. I hear that, and when I've be conversations with people about relationships constantly. The only reason why I did that is because they did it to me. I lied to them because they lied to me. I wasn't honest with them because they weren't honest with me. Get the hell out of it. What are you doing in that?
Right.
How is that fulfilling you? How is that making you happy? Move on from it. You know, that's part of being better is being honest and knowing what's better. If you're not better for yourself, you can't be better for anybody else. And a big part of being better is being honest. That I'm not in a relationship that's making me happy. I'm not fulfilled. I'm not being honest with it. And again, that could be work. I mean, we've all worked jobs that we don't like, that we stay in because it pays the bills. You know, we've all been in friendships. I'm sure everybody at this table has that friend that, what the hell am I still friends with this guy for? Well, I've known him 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. They always kind of been around. You know, why do we do that to ourselves? And it's one of those things that just, it's mind-boggling to me. But go ahead, Bill. I know you.
Yeah, it's funny. I had some thoughts in my head, and then all of a sudden my mind went blank. It's kind of like my life.
Because I talk too much.
No, it's just like I said, I got some brilliant stuff to say, and then now I can't even think of anything. It's kind of funny how that goes. You did mention God, and about you believe you answer to God and stuff like that. And people who are watching this, you don't have to answer to God. Just answer to your inner conscience.
Mm-hmm.
Little things like I did this one day, and I don't know why I did it. I was kind of conflicted about doing it, but something told me do it. So this woman's in front of me in the grocery store, and she doesn't have enough money, so she had to run outside. And I said, "I'll buy her groceries." I just bought her groceries. I put the stuff in I paid for her groceries. I paid for mine. She came in. She looked at me. She thought I was nuts. But something said pay for her groceries.
Yeah.
Weird.
I don't know why I did that. Then I think, what am I, a sucker? Why did I do? Did I just spend money?
Kind of to the point we're talking about.
Yeah. It's the little things. And if you could stay on that mindset, because life really gets you off that mindset. How many times have I walked behind somebody, and they open the door, and they don't hold the door open for me. I'm walking into the door, but somebody's behind me. I always hold the door open. Come on in. I always hold the door open. It's like a habit. Or when I'm driving my car and somebody lets me in, I wave like this. Thank you. Nobody does that anymore. It's like, but I keep doing it. I feel better about doing it. And that's the little stuff. That's maybe how we make the changes in life. Just that little stuff. Smile at somebody. I always got this thing at work. I call people handsome. I don't know. Hey man, I say, you're looking good today, man. You doing something? You lose weight? No, it's a joke, but I mean they laugh, and maybe I made that guy's day for 5 minutes. I don't know. It's so I just think it's just a little stuff. Just keeping doing.
And it doesn't take much effort.
No,
it's really
and it's genuine too. Right. I mean, I really mean it. I'm not faking it.
No,
but
definitely.
yeah, I mean, I don't know what the answers are to this. I just, I've been around 64 years. I've seen it seems like it's been the same for a long time. I see some things that are changing and some things that are different, and my views on the way things are. I've had to look at them and go, am I thinking this the right way? About a lot of stuff. But I'm happy that I'm here to talk with you guys, and I'll go home tonight and I'll feel comfortable getting up tomorrow. I don't have any remorse, any regret. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't slap anybody.
Right.
We were talking about that in the last episode. I don't have to go make amends to anybody. I did, though. I talked to Eddy the other day. I was telling Eddy that when I was married, my second wife, actually, I've been married a couple times, and we were gambling a lot, and my stepson, pretty sharp kid, smart kid, mentioned something about it, and I got up real fast like Will Smith did, and we were talking about the last episode, and I ran over and I pushed him, and I don't know what happened. It just happened, and it's been 15, 16 years now, and I sat in my room the other day, and I go, man, I got to apologize to that kid. Whether or not he accepts it or not, that doesn't mean anything. It's that I mean it, and I called him and I said, you were right, man. You were a lot smarter to me than I was. And he goes, Bill, you really calling me to apologize? He says, I can't believe you. He was shocked, and he was happy that I did that.
Yeah.
I said, I'm kind of nervous about doing it, to be honest with you. The more I talk about it, the more I feel funny about it. But I really feel stupid that it happened. And, I don't know, wanting to be better. All you got to say to yourself is, I just want to be better. And then you'll be better if you want to be better,
And I really feel that ultimately you become a happier person. Mm-hmm. It's freaking miserable being miserable. It really is. It just feels like it's never, you're pissed off, you're angry, everybody's against you, everybody's out to screw you over. It's such a sad, lonely place to be.
That's like a national anthem. They're out to get me.
Yeah, absolutely. And where are you going with that? Mm-hmm. Just be a little kinder, be a little nicer. I get a kick out of the two of you because I know you both. I know both your backgrounds. I know both your histories. So when they were first, I'm going to work out with Daryl. I know the background that Bill comes from. I know what his family likes. I know there was racism there. I know that
huge
neighborhood stuff. And I know that Daryl's extremely sharp and is not dumb to any of it. is infinitely aware of it. And I'm like, you're working out with who? What? And then as the more they did it, and I watched them exchange and joke around with each other and that friendship, to the point that we posed at the beginning of this, why be better? There's, especially from Bill's perspective, a friendship, a connection that may not have seen 30 years ago, 40 years ago, that now is there from being better. And we all have those experiences. Yeah. I've done that. You've done that. You've done that. That's the point of being better, because when you open up those avenues that you've locked down, shut down, especially in a friendship, a relationship, family. I know people haven't spoken to family members for 20, 30, 40 years. Shit's happened. Mm-hmm. Is that what you want to die with? Is that really where you, for my father, we talked about what happened with my father a couple episodes ago. I don't want that on me, hate my old man until the day I die. It's exhausting.
It is.
It's so much energy to have hate in your heart. It tires you out. It makes life miserable when you feel good, or you feel positive, or you think better of people. Everything feels lighter.
Mm-hmm. So if you really think about everybody knows somebody or a few people like that are just negative Nancy's, hate in their heart. Nothing about nothing or anything is positive. If you look at that person's characteristics, they're not like, man, that person, that's beautiful. Mm-hmm. I would never expect them to be like. It shows in their way they carry themselves. It shows in their face. It shows, because like you said, it takes a lot of energy to be negative, and we don't know how that energy is gonna take a toll on us.
For sure.
So it has to show somewhere, and everybody is going to be different. But I think about all the negatives, severely negative people that I've seen or I've known. They have things that show that negativity, where it wears on their body, and stress, hair loss, anything. It could be a lot of stuff.
Right.
So it's just healthier to be as the best that you can be, because happy people look happy. Like you've seen somebody and you're like, yeah, that dude over there is happy. Mm-hmm. Like, And,
Bill's like 5 years younger, 20 years longer in the last 2 years that I've seen him. Yeah. He's getting younger and younger by age.
I wasn't doing too well after the divorce. I was like dying, but yeah.
You're definitely right.
Yeah. I think also, like you said, it almost takes more energy to be negative, but
so much.
But that energy you put out tends to attract. So if you're a negative person, if you're finding yourself leaning more towards the negative side of things, you tend to attract more negative people into your life, because it just seems to roll that way. Yeah. Whereas if you can kind of get out of that funk and be better and realize that it doesn't take much more energy to kind of better yourself a little bit, or just small little things, hold the door, the things we talked about, you end up attracting better people in your life. Mm-hmm. So it's an interesting take on it.
I think of everything, that's probably one of the most important things is you manifest what you put out there. Mm-hmm. That's just a hard truth.
Yeah.
If you feel that, it's God that does that, if that's divine intervention or whatever, you sincerely manifest what you put out there. And I know me personally, people I've talked to, when you're in that negative state, you see everything is shitty. When you're in a positive state, you see everything is positive. We talked about a quote in the last, episode. Mm-hmm. When you want to see that half truth, you're going to see that half truth. When you wanted that whole truth, it's going to come out. And you're 100% right. You manifest what you put out there. If you're in a relationship that, you're scared, you're not honest, you're not forthright, and it doesn't even have to be malicious. It's a genuine. A lot of people, it sucks to be hurt, especially in a relationship. We've all been hurt. It's not a place anybody wants to be. But when you enter a relationship like that, or a friendship like that, it's exactly what that relationship gives back to you. Mm-hmm. It's not trustworthy. It's not fulfilling. All that stuff. And again, the question I ask over and over again is, where are you going with that? Really, we have one shot at this, and the incarnation that we are. Is that really how you want to live your life? what's so hard about opening that door for that person? And if they don't say thank you, that's screw them. That's on them.
Yeah, do it for me. Yeah,
exactly. Because at the end of the day, like I said, we got to go to sleep with our own thoughts on our own pillow. There's nobody to guard us from that. There's nothing that's going to stop that. You know, whatever's going on in our head, and it's exhausting. I mean, it was funny. I was talking to a friend of mine when I lived in the city, and how it's been since I moved to the suburbs, and I was like on a daily rampage of, I mean, you remember?
I remember.
Where I want to snap necks because it was just the ignorance that was there, the complete lack of any kind of manners to each other, people walking slow across the street and like, you know, kiss my ass, I'll make it across when I get. And you're to that point where, you know, especially for all of us, as Bill said kind of at the beginning, you know, we were raised by macho men, guys that stood up for themselves. We all had that underlying principle, and I'm not going to play me like any punk. Like, who the hell are you talking to? It was exhausting. It would tire me out. And when I got out of there, I was like, holy shit, you're kind of an angry person. Like, what the hell was going on with you? And it's because when I was younger, I mean, I grew up on Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So, I mean, that was, downtown Chicago was the most beautiful thing in the world to me. And that's how I saw it. And then when I started seeing the negativity, that's all I saw.
Yep.
So I didn't see beautiful Sears Tower. It's still Sears Tower. Call it whatever the hell you want. I didn't see, you know, Soldier Field. I saw, oh, what's this guy doing here? What's going on over here? And, you know, when you want to see that negativity, it's going to be there.
It's funny you said why I would work out with Daryl, because of the family that I grew up in, and it's you know, I grew up was born in '58, so in the '60s I saw Martin Luther King get shot. I mean, I was a little, but I remember it. I remember John F. Kennedy getting shot. I remember Martin Luther King getting shot. I remember Richard Daley clubbing all those people down at 68 when the Democratic National Convention was going on and all that. I remember my mother and father telling me, oh, the blacks are moving in the neighborhood. We got to move. White flight. I remember my brother marching with a flag, you know, that kind of a bad flag. And it was always that. And I had friends when I was younger, and people that I work with, I wasn't like them. But I had the thoughts of like that, like my family. But I mean, I had a guy Archie, and I was telling him about a guy Freddie that was African American. I was friends with all these guys, man. These guys were like buddies of mine, and I always had that habit of thinking like my parents. But the eye opener for me is when you talk about wanting to get better. The eye opener for me with Daryl was the time he told me, at the simplest thing, I would have never in my life thought about this until he brought it up. So I was in that situation. He said, if a white woman was on the street changing her tire, and I got out of my car and I went to help her, he was afraid he would get arrested. And I had never thought of that before. Because I wouldn't allow myself to see their plight.
Sure.
Because, you know,
because then you got to start looking at the whole picture.
In my time, it was segregation. Even Muhammad Ali wanted blacks with blacks and whites with whites. I mean, that's all we heard. Like, you know, all that was the stuff that was going on. But when he told me that, I said, holy shit, you mean to tell me he can't get out of his car and help somebody? And then we were watching a comedy thing. He showed me this comedian. And we're watching, he goes, walking down the street, and there's a white woman. He goes, oh, I got to walk across the other. You remember that? Well,
yeah.
How did that go?
So a little out of context. It was based off of that comedian's skit. But I said, and this was a note to Patrice O'Neal, rest in peace, his comedy skit, where he said that he doesn't litter because if he littered, he could turn out to be a suspect in a murder. And so he was saying like he would, you know, drink a Pepsi, and once he finished the Pepsi, he, you know, walking through Central Park because he was living in New York at the time, he throws the Pepsi over some bushes, and there's, you know, a dead woman back there, and the can lands next to this dead woman, and it has his DNA on there. Now he's the Pepsi can strangler. And so he was like, I don't litter because it's too easy for me to be put into some things that, you know, is really hard to explain, especially when you get in those scenarios. To what Bill said, there was a scenario specifically where I wanted to help somebody, but when I started thinking about the consequences that could happen, and this was late, like 3 a.m. one night. I was driving home, and this was in the neighborhood. I saw this lady, she was walking and she was crying, and I instinctively wanted to help her. But then I'm like, I don't know anything that's going on with this situation. So if I pull over at 3 a.m, I let this lady get in the car with me, and I take her genuinely where she needed to go, and then something happens to her. I wake up the next day, I'm the last person she was with.
Sure.
So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take my ass home. And she's in the neighborhood. I started making these little personal justifications to why she'll be all right. Now, if I could, that's one, I don't do a lot of regrets, but it's a small one that I have. I would go back and actually help this lady because I don't know what happened to her. I mean, she was in my neighborhood. I lived in a very nice neighborhood in North Carolina at the time. And so I assumed she wasn't too far from home.
Yeah.
But at first sight, I wanted to pull over, see if she needed to get somewhere and take her there because she was, even though the neighborhood was nice, it was 3 a.m.
Sure.
If it was my sisters, aunts, any of my loved ones, I would want somebody that could help them to genuinely help them. But I thought about the possibilities of something else happening and me having to explain a situation that I really didn't have an explanation for. And I proceeded to go home. And Bill was like, he never thought about stuff like that. And I was like, some people have to, it doesn't make it right though.
No.
But it is a thing that's
it was a reality. I'm like, holy crap. I never even thought that was like, you were telling me that they had a drink out of a different water fountain. I mean, think about that. How long ago was that?
Freaking crazy.
That's really not that long ago.
No.
60s,
I mean, too close. I mean, and like I said, little stuff like that. I mean, we just kind of went through the COVID stuff where, I mean, people were fighting over, there were people fighting over, I'm not wearing a mask. I mean, I watched people punch people in the face in airplanes, punch them in their lips because screw you, I'm not wearing a mask. And people were being told, you're not drinking out of that faucet. That's a whites only faucet.
Yeah, that's why that whole COVID thing was a little bit amusing.
And I was like, we don't want to get too far down in race. We definitely talk about a different point in time. But my point to that is there's got to be some middle ground there. There's got to be somewhere where we could acknowledge that was messed up. That should have never happened. Right. That's an embarrassment to us. We're better than that. This country's better than that.
It'd be better.
And we're going to be better than that. And we're going to acknowledge that happened. No, it wasn't my fault. So I'm freaking Italian. My families were flipping pizza in Italy. It had nothing to do, never owned any slave, never did any of that shit. But this is my country, and I can acknowledge the fact that that's jacked up. Right. And that should never happen, and it's an embarrassment. And for us to be better is to be able to say, that was wrong, and we're going to be better than that. We're going to acknowledge that. And that's a lot of what we were talking about. And again, even, talking to Bill about it, I mean, race is something we talked about extensively through all of, with all of us. Because we're around it. My mom called, a couple days ago and was like, I'd really like for you guys to talk about race. And it's one of those things that talking about being better, it's such a rabbit hole. I mean, Bill mentioned it. My family came from that time where, they're at Argo High School where there were riots. I mean, they were cutting blonde girls' hair, beating the shit out of each other. And all of that, obviously, you're going to have a point of view from that. You're going to have things that happen from that. And you're going to have an idea of stuff. And it's not going to be positive. But at some point, we have to say both sides, black, white, Hispanic, whatever it may be, everyone's got to say, hey, we weren't always at the top of our game. These things did happen. They were horrendous. We want to be better.
Yep.
We want to acknowledge that. We want to be better on all. Like, my mom was talking about the black on black crime in Chicago. I don't have an answer for that. I wish I could have an answer. Like Bill said, $2 billion. I've done tons of volunteer work in the Black communities. I was a big brother to a young Black man that ended up getting shot in the head over, a girl. I've done all of that stuff. I've seen both sides of it. I've been in the projects, done tons of stuff. I wish I had the answer, but it's not as simple as we want to make it. There's not a quick, well, why does that happen? And, well, hey, I even heard, well, they're worried about the thing in Buffalo, but happen every day in Chicago. And no, it wasn't family that said that, but I've heard stuff like that. Well, it's not the same comparison.
It's not the same. And don't take
one has
away
nothing
from,
to do with the other.
Don't take away from what that scenario, that specific incident.
Some are circumstances, and a lot of them just mention about, Bill, did you ever hitchhike when you were younger?
No,
or you're a little too young for that? I picked up a lot of
people that were hitchhiking.
So, I remember as a kid, my old man picking up hitchhikers, and I just remember like seeing a stranger in the front seat and thinking it was kind of cool, hearing the story. Jack Kerouac was a big thing. No, when was the last time people pick up? You don't do that anymore.
I know nothing about this.
When I was a kid, my dad and I, we would go to Peoria frequently, every other weekend when I was with him. His car broke down. It was in a day of CBs. He said, I have my young son with me. My car broke down, and a trucker stopped, picked us up, and took us to the gas station. Like it was normal. Like it was normal for
constantly
people to help each other.
It.
And it's crazy to think that we're really in a world that doesn't happen.
And we know what happened somewhere. Someplace, some poor girl, some poor guy got murdered or something happened, and don't do that anymore. Jane Doe, John Doe got killed. You never know who you're letting in your car, and that's kind of the point of all this. Is we're becoming so protective, we're becoming so insulated, we're becoming so walls all around us that. Okay, so you're not getting hurt by a hitchhiker, you're not meeting different people, you're kind of staying secluded. What kind of life you living? Mm-hmm. And is that the life you want to live? Or is that making you happy? And that's at the end of the day, the only question I ask. Are you really happy? Is that really serving you? And again, I don't want to get into politics, talked about that slightly, but...
Yeah, I'm probably the only Republican at the table.
Thanks for throwing it out there.
I had to throw it out there.
So,
that's a big difference
for me, I'm not Republican. I'm not Democrat. I don't give a shit as far as either of them. What I care about is this the best leader and is it not the best leader? And I don't really care what party. What terrifies me is, are we to a point of... well, to be a good leader, you got to be an asshole. And to be a good leader, hey, you can't. I don't want that as leader. That's not who I want to look up to. No. That's not who I want kids to look up to. That's not to. And again, don't want to get into it. You think what you want to think. But within this conversation, that's when we make that the ideal, or when you tell a kid, hey, if you really you want to get something done, you got to be an asshole, because if you're not, people are going to take advantage of you. If you want something to work out for you, you got to be kind of a prick sometimes. Is that the message we want to be tuning in? And I'm not disagreeing that works. Never, not saying that any way, shape, or form. What I'm saying is that's not the person I want to be. It's not the country I want to live in. It's not the world I want to live in. And if that's what it takes, I want no part about it.
Yeah, that's very low level stuff. Easy.
For sure.
Yeah. Low-hanging fruit.
Lionz Den, at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to be. Trying to be better. Trying to be a place where you can look at, see, maybe understand a different way, hearing other people talk about things that maybe you've been thinking about, and being there for you. This is a revolution, make no mistake about it. Yeah. We're here to raise some shit. Anybody else have anything else to
No, I like
into that?
I'm all good for this one. I like it.
Yeah.
Bill, thank you again so much. Well, actually, you'll be back the next one again, if you want to be.
Yeah, why not?
Check your book. Check your schedule.
Yeah. I got nothing intelligent to say. No, just kidding.
God bless everybody. Yeah. Please, just a little more positivity. Just be slightly better. Be the best you can. It's not casting judgment on anybody. Let's all be a little better.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, thanks.